Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the analysis of YOLENO TV. I hope you're well from wherever you're watching this channel. It is alleged that US have suddenly made an about turn in funding Kenya for the police deployment of the Haiti mission. Speaking via X handle, Paul Mwangi, the Azimio lawyer, reacted to a report that US Congress was blocking the funds for deployment of policemen to Haiti mission. So according to Paul Mwangi, judiciary should stand up and be independent and therefore stand together by protesting government decision of sending policemen to Haiti. That is tick. So Paul Mwangi went to his X handle and this is what he shared. Dear Kenya Judiciary, this is a compliment. Be flattered that out there you now have a reputation for being capable of standing up and being independent. Of course, we still have issues, but let's celebrate this together. That the legislature of the most bullish nations fear you. So, this is what Paul Mwangi, the Azimio lawyer, shared in his X handle. And it was a reaction to a statement that US Congress blocked funding for Kenya's mission in Haiti. And then the article went further to say, questions whether Kenyan courts will allow the deployment. So that is what was shared. So I want us to go deeper into this move of the US and what Paul Mwangi has said. But before you do that, allow me to encourage you to please support this channel by subscribing and liking this video to enable this channel to grow. For those who supported us before, thank you so much for your support. So US Congress has blocked the funding of Kenyan Haiti mission move. So what next? Paul Mwangi could not have been wrong, when he said that judiciary needs to be congratulated. It is evident that US respect the rule of the law. That is one thing I give US kudos to. I give US kudos to that move. They respect the rights, or they respect the rule of the law. So that is why US, if at all, it had embarked on still funding Kenya, despite the fact that judiciary had said no. Ingeonekana kwamba US is not, is playing double standards. So by choosing carefully not to fund, US has sent a strong message to William RUTO that he also needs to respect the courts. That's the message, ladies and gentlemen. We did an analysis here, ladies and gentlemen, about 2-3 days ago when we talked about what the CS, Professor KINDIKI, said. They said that they would still deploy police and nothing was going to stop them. And then the second remark that we also stumbled upon was from PS Singoi. The Permanent Secretary Singoi for the Foreign Affairs, docket, said that they were going to temporarily halt deployment of police to the Haiti mission because of what has happened. And what had happened, the Prime Minister Ariel resigned. So this latest happening will lead us to a simple question. Was it that the US were simply funding Kenya because they wanted Ariel Henry to stay in power? Because why have they suddenly declined that support? Despite the fact that Kenya was still, and we were still planning on how to deploy, because the reciprocity agreement had been signed, meaning this was going to go on whichever way. So why have they decided to bolt out of this agreement? I sense something sinister in US move. Personally, maybe I don't agree with Barbecue, the gang leader, to the extent where he's shooting and killing people. We can't agree with him with that kind of move because that is not human. We don't tolerate that. In fact, Kenya, we like peace. But there is something that Barbecue kept mentioning. he kept mentioning Ariel Henry as a puppet of the US. Now, this latest move by US to decline funding, for that mission, Kenya-Haiti mission, the funding, after Ariel Henry had resigned, is pointing to the fact that probably US wanted Ariel Henry to be the one to take over. But now that the Haiti people are going to have one of their own, because they will have to go to the vote, to the ballot, and probably pick another leader, maybe one who is not going to be aligned to the US, quest or the US policies or the US demands. So that's why US realizes we can't subject those kind of dollars to this mission. We're not going to get anything. We're not going to have our own. Remember, I told you that in Haiti, that is where there is one of the biggest embassies in the world. US wameconstruct embassy kubwa sana huko in US, in Haiti. Why was that done? I think that is the reason why there is imam vita Haiti up, Haiti there. People are fighting, and this fight doesn't seem to end. In fact, there is a notion that even if they go to the ballots, faction of those rebel gangs will still fight, because probably someone who will have been installed will not maybe be one of their own. They will want to be absorbed in the army, the police force, in those security organ. They will want to be. In fact, someone like Barbecue will want to be given a very high position, because it's said that currently is the senior most person in that country, not going by the constitution, but going by the the power that people feel there. Barbecue is the one. So someone also brought another point here, that what if Barbecue is given the prime minister position? Is he going to stop the gang violence? Or what if he's given the head of the police? Is he going to stop the gang violence? Or what if he's absorbed in the army? Is he going to do that? Or is he going to lead a coup? So these questions have popped up in so many people's minds, and to a level whereby there are no answers. I am thinking that, I don't know, but I'm thinking that this Barbecue person, I think there is a plan, a secret plan on him. US could have made an about turn trying to tell Kenya that, okay, fine, now this is what we had planned, but looks like it's not going to work. This Barbecue is proving to be impossible. Now let's go to plan B. What if they do what they did to Saddam Hussein? That can also be done. And you know what happened? They can arrest Barbecue, alafu awe charged in an international law court, be found guilty, and probably be hanged. I mean, those are things which can happen. Barbecue can be charged in a court of law, international court of law, now awe hanged because of what has happened and because of the pronunciations about genocide. US realizes that the mistake which was done, one that has escalated the tension in Haiti, was when, during that UN Security Council meeting, when Biden praised the move by Kenya to want to lead that mission. Barbecue knows the story of Kenya. He could have done some research on how the Kenyan police dealt with demonstrators. And probably he could maybe be fearing something, saying that maybe these Kenyan police have a tactic which these other people never had. Maybe these are ruthless people, they don't care about the law. So if they are allowed here, they might spoil our chances of securing this country. So what do? We resort to threatening genocide, so that the US and the whole world fears to meddle in the affairs of Haiti. And if that happens, then I think Ariel Henry will be left with nobody to support him. And probably that is what happened. Especially it worked in favor of Barbecue. So US withdrawing its funding or blocking the funding for Kenya's mission in Haiti, this is not something that I personally, I'm not shocked. This is something that I expected, because I knew US were going to side with the courts, they must respect the courts, because they can't be championing the rule of law you followed, and then they're the same people who are going against it. Aingekaa sawa. So that's why I think this time round, Ruto, I'm not going to say that Ruto has lost or has not lost, but the plan of the government won't work. So, ladies and gentlemen, what do you make of this revelation from Paul Mwangi, the lawyer representing Azimio, and him going publicly in his X handle and sharing that the courts must be celebrated? Martha Koome team must be celebrated because they made a position, and that position has been followed by the US. So perhaps if you watch this video and you have not subscribed, take 1 second, subscribe to this channel and give this video a like. So until you catch up again, stay safe and stay blessed.